Well, hi there, Community Church. Great to see you all again here with the amazing Andrew Wilson. So,
Hi.
Andrew has been in the church for quite a long time, so we're going to find out a little bit about him, catch up a bit with Cap as well, who he now works for, so we can really inform our prayers, especially at this difficult time, which if you're in the poverty line, if you're in debt, is more scary than ever. So, Andrew, tell us a little bit about you and your family.
Yeah, so our family consists of me, Sarah, who I've been married to 25 years this August, and our two wonderful children, Heather and Fraser. So Heather's at university in Swansea, and Fraser's still with us in his first year of A-levels.
And how long have you been in HCC?
We came to HCC 2001, I think it was, beginning of 2001. My whole church history is Salvation Army, so that was a major shift. Hold on, I'll just switch off my work phone.
No worries. We've managed to catch Andrew in between other Zoom calls, so bless you, mate.
Yeah, so church history. So go on.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, yeah, my church history was Salvation Army right from literally day one of being born, because my parents were Salvation Army officers and lived inside the church building. So I was in church from right at the very beginning of my childhood.
Okay, that's quite fascinating. So, you know, you grew up in the thing, but of course must have been a point where it became real for you. You know, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So for me, I think even as a young child, I never doubted that God existed. And at the age of 7, I remember kneeling at what they call the mercy seats in the Salvation Army, probably a reference to the tabernacle. And giving my life to Jesus in a very simple way as a 7-year-old, and just knowing that I wanted God in my life and that Jesus was going to forgive me for the sins that I'd already done and the ones I was going to do. So even from childhood, that was my faith. Grew up as a teenager, gone through that whole wearing a Salvation Army uniform, basically with the only Christian pretty much in school. So pretty exposed, but I was able to witness and stand up for what I believed in. Went to university. My Bible study group had 2 atheists in it. So that really challenged my faith, because basically they started every question with, if God exists, then what about this? And so that really, from my simple faith as a teenager in quite a sheltered environment, got tested in terms of what did I really believe, and did it still stand up when somebody else questioned it. So yeah, that was kind of my walk as a teenager through into early adulthood.
Brilliant. And of course, in terms of like as an adult, what's been your work before CAP, and what happened to transition you into something quite different? Yeah,
so I just worked out today that I graduated 30 years ago. Which makes me feel really old. When I graduated, I had a degree in economics, but I went into what was at the time called personnel management in London, and then graduated with a diploma in that, and carried on in the world of HR, as it was then renamed, right through until 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So various companies, big industry and organizations, aviation, car industry, financial services, etc. But eventually I kind of thought, you know what, I could do this for the rest of my life and just find another organization to work for, or I could maybe do something that I feel really passionate about and was going to make a real life difference for other people. So decided that I was going to do something radically different maybe, and really pursue working for some organization that reflected my faith. So I really wanted it to be a faith-based charity rather than just any old charity doing good, because there are literally hundreds of thousands of them. And so I decided that I would want to do something like that. I asked Sarah if she wanted to do it with me, and she said no. Probably for the best. Big church day out, 2017 that was. I really heard God say the word enough. And more than once I had that word in my head and in my soul. I felt like God was saying, right, enough of the corporate world, you can stop. It's okay to stop. And that's not you being afraid or anything like that. It's okay to stop. but also a massive promise on the back of that of, I'm going to be more than enough for you and your family as you step out and do this. So the next day I went to work and resigned. Nobody thought I was mad, because things had been going well at work and all that. But actually then it gave me 7 months of telling people, because I agreed to stay to the Christmas, 7 months of telling people why I was going to do something that really mattered to me. And the faith that you couldn't easily talk about in a secular work environment, I was able to talk about it all the time, which was great. So yeah, left at the Christmas in 2017 with nowhere to go. And then your lovely wife pointed out to me that there was this organisation, well, I knew about CAP, but there was this job that was available in CAP. So yeah, I definitely had in my mind I wanted to work for CAP or Tier Fund. CAP was in Bradford, so that was never going to work. And Tier Fund's in London, so that was never going to work. So, and then God had his hand in it all. CAP was reorganising and creating a job right down here in the south, and I applied and got the job.
Brilliant. And it is a great story, because I'm pretty sure I got time now, but I can remember having chats with you, because you had a real pull, in a sense that I guess because we're in a churchy Christian thing, you're wondering, is it sort of church pastoring or all that? But then you'd always had, I would say, one of the most passionate people, probably along with Phil Baker, about CAP, and it's just been fantastic to see God meld those together. So what's it been like being part of CAP? And then we can just talk a little bit about what that means now, because of course a lot of stuff's up in the air.
Yeah, amazing 2 years. Just celebrated my 2 years a couple of weeks ago. Best thing I ever did. The main reason for that is not the money, for sure, because that doesn't come with working for a charity. But actually the fact that I know that every day this charity that works through 600 plus churches in the UK is impacting people's lives for now and making their lives better, but also for eternity, because it's bringing people to faith in Jesus. And that's just, for me, that's what the Bible talks about. It's how Jesus announced his ministry. He said, I come to preach and serve the good news to the poor. And so it's like, well, if it's good enough for Jesus, it's kind of good enough for me. So that sense of satisfaction of being part of something that successful, if you like, that it is impacting people every day. We see it in our own church, of course, but to see it on a national level is even more satisfying, I think. So it's been an amazing journey. It's been very much a time, they say, for such a time as this. I joined CAP at a time when it was struggling with various sort of operational stuff. And I think all my experience in working through lots of HR organizations, HR in lots of different organizations really played into that. And I use lots of my experience and skills that they wouldn't have had I not been brought into that role. So it's been really great from that perspective, knowing that God had that all in the plan anyway, and continues to as the organization continues to evolve. So, but yeah, we're now in a situation where obviously COVID-19 happened. I got sick for 3 weeks, which wasn't pleasant. But we had to, of course, stop our service pretty much. Our service is unique as far as we can see across the world, in that it provides debt advice in the home. Face-to-face in the home, and nobody else we know does that. And of course, when you can't meet people face-to-face, and most definitely not in their home, you're kind of stuffed. Yeah. So we then, our head office people had to, one, evacuate the building and all work from home, which is a logistical challenge, but then we had to reconfigure the service in line with the regulator, the Financial Conduct Authority, to get authority to do our service in a different way. So it's now being done over the phone or on a Zoom call or whatever. But we also know, and I've talked to Catherine about this, that it's just not the same as face-to-face. And for our group services, like our life skills that we run, again, very difficult to run that when it's not in a community that makes all the difference. But as lockdown unlocks, we're looking to open up those services and do them more face-to-face and rebuild the capacity. What's been bizarre is that the number of demands for our services in terms of clients has massively dropped through the floor. But that's probably because all the creditors aren't allowed to chase people down. So we're expecting, as soon as this does unlock and people are allowed to chase people down for the money they're owed, that we're going to have as people are calling, a tsunami of demand for our services.
Yeah. And it's been great seeing you grow as well. And I think that's one of the thrilling things that I think for you, knowing God had the right thing for you, taking you through this journey where you learn new skills, but especially it was just before lockdown and before you got sick, which probably didn't help with you getting sick, but it was amazing to see you at one of the big CAP events where they're gathering all the different teams together from across the Southwest and seeing you fly. And I think it's something as HCC we can be really proud of, is our engagement on a bigger plane in terms of our nation. And I think I was just talking to someone today and they were saying how I think universal credit demand has gone up like tenfold or something.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah.
So it's going to be massive in terms of CAP. So what are the main things we can just be praying about for you personally and your work and for CAP?
For me personally, just the stamina to keep going. I think we've talked a lot about people having nothing to do. I've been the exact opposite. Absolutely, really, really quite busy. So just the stamina to keep going, because can't have a holiday right now because we're actually just too busy. But for CAP, I think it's about us opening up the service well and making sure that we serve the clients that want to be served as well as we can, because we know that it's better face to face. But in terms of CAP, we would love to see more people come to faith. We'd love to see more of our services doing what Catherine does and Ioli in terms of sharing their faith and encouraging people to make a decision for Jesus. I'd love people to be praying for CAP's churches. They're not CAP's churches. The churches CAP partner with, to be as bold and brave as the likes of Catherine and Ioli are. That would be a heartfelt prayer for me. And the other one is a really practical one in that our funding for this year is good because we had an incredible, miraculous gift 2 days before lockdown from one person that was £1 million. So God really blessed CAP in that respect. But next year, our income will start to drop because we haven't been able to build new life changers this year. So it's for new income streams would be our other prayer, really. So that because we know the church desperately wants to extend the services across the UK, and I'm right at the choke point where I'm having to say no to churches, say sorry you can't come this year, and that's heartbreaking because we know that they want to serve their communities and bring people to Jesus. Yeah.
Well, bless you, my friend, and just to say to everyone, please be praying about those things. We are planning to do a CAP fundraiser probably in August. It'll be some sort of, I think we're going to try and bike or walk or run around the world. I think that's what we've been looking at between a whole bunch of us over a period of a week. If you can walk, a couple of miles every day, and we clock it all together, and we're going to try and get the whole community involved as well. It's just something that we can do, whatever sort of lockdown situation. But like you're saying, actually to really flag the service and raise some finance, because it is going to be, like you said, a bit of a tidal wave of need. And it's a fantastic to have the goods already. So bless you guys. Thank you, Andrew. Blessing to you, mate.
Thank you. See you guys.
Okay.
Bye.